Lance Wallnau. Welcome to the show today. You know, this is going to be one of those unique occasions when we get a chance to look at what's happening with the courts. It's curious to me that it's the gavel of God that's coming down, kaboom, right now, from Fannie Willis to Mike Lindell's cases to Carrie Lake's getting her appeal up there. It's as though the American people can't decide one way or the other who they are, what they want, and it comes to this unique thing that the fathers put together. A court, the third element, the executive branch, legislative, and the court. Well, the court is what we're looking to now, and we've got breaking news on the court. You know who's been in that court fighting and almost near bankrupt? Our buddy Mike Lindell. And what a patriot. You know, he originally started doing the MyPillow commercials, and they were so brilliant, but he said that he used to have that cross on, and all the producers told him, hey, put that away. He refused to do it. I think that's the moment God chose him to be the man who would be the face of this battle for election integrity. So Mike Lindell, you need to support him. I'm reminding you now because he's got funds that he's raising to be able to keep his business, his American enterprise going. Go to mypillow.com. And if you use promo code Lance, I just found the slippers that I buy for like $30 or $25. They're like down for like $13. Just look at these crazy sales that are going on right now. Sheets. You know, he's got those really cool sheets. He's got an overshipment of them because I heard him on Bannon's War Room. I thought, I'm going to get that for my people. Go to mypillow.com, get the special promo code Lance discount, and support Mike. You'll be happy you did, and your feet will thank you, and your sheets will thank you. Let's get into the program. We have our guest today, Mercedes Sparks, who happened to have been just in the neighborhood when you lassoed him in. This was not scheduled. I love it when it's spontaneous. John Graves has been with us on all of our election coverage events. I mean, we sat here literally in the studio trying to predict and figure out what was going on in 2020. We were here watching this thing live. The freeze up of the votes, analyzing why isn't the news coming out? And if you are worried about conspiracies, like why did the news channels, freeze up? Why overnight were their votes found the next day? I mean, wow. I'll never forget when, I'm just going to say one thing. Poor, what's her name, with, the release of the Kraken thing?
Oh, yeah.
She was with Sidney Powell. Sidney had, people don't realize this. She was in the early stage of a whole lot of circumstantial, all the fingers pointing like that, like a cartoon, but it's not a case yet. So, I'm looking at all this data saying, I didn't know that Open Society, which is Soros' foundation, is right next door to the Dominion office in Toronto.
Wow.
I didn't realize their offices were next door. Would Soros be next door? And one of the key guys in his Open Society actually took over a role as a leader in the Dominion management team. Oh, do you think maybe they worked collusionally, in Canada on what they were doing with software? Mm-hmm. Stuff like that you can't take to Tucker because it's circumstantial. Mm-hmm. So she was a little embarrassed in her presentation because the country wanted to know something doesn't seem right, but they couldn't put their finger. Then January 6th, something didn't seem right when you got a couple of hundred plainclothes FBI agents out there dressed like MAGA people who evidently weren't stopping anything that was going on. So how did they help facilitate what happened? It's going to take time to get that out, but we got enough of that out now. We got some congressmen that have the records. Just takes time. It's so painfully slow. But John Graves has stopped by the office because there's progress being made at the Supreme Court. There's progress being made in exposing stuff. You're praying, oh God, whatever the truth is, reveal it. I don't mind losing if we lose, but I hate losing when we win because someone's smarter than us who knows how to rig Las Vegas so that, you're losing money actually when you're supposed to be winning it. So, John, bring us up to date on the Supreme Court, the one place we look to be the stopgap for all this. Mike Lindell's been up there. Carrie Lake and Mark Fincham, their case keeps on bouncing around and not going anywhere. Give us an update on, is there some daylight coming from the courts and is new information breaking out?
Well, that's what's interesting. I have in my hands the opinion that got filed today in the Supreme Court, and this is what Mike Lindell's been talking about. It's the case in Maricopa County dealing with Mark Fincham and Carrie Lake. And what's intriguing to me is I, as an attorney for over 30 years, started reading through this going, what is different? What is new? Because that has been teased by Mike Lindell and other people. It's like, what is it? And so I look through it. If you are a legal nerd, page 13, they start talking about new evidence that wasn't there before. This is a writ to the Supreme Court out of the dismissals that have happened at each stage of the appeal in Kerry and Mark Fincham's case. So because it's been dismissed on standing, they've got some new evidence that they're asking the court to reconsider. Now, will the court do it or not? I don't know the answer to that question. But what really piqued my interest was this Dominion having new evidence that it didn't meet the FIPS, the Federal Information Process Standard of encryption. And so then they just kind of lay out a few things here about simply getting past a Windows login and you've got access as a security breach into these systems. And that has far-reaching. They even reference Enigma, the World War II, what the Germans used that was cracked, because that's the code that was keeping them, all their secrets hidden. And when we cracked that, it turned the tide of the war.
Wow.
And so they reference that in this brief. And so I think they're onto something. I think they have found something. And this could have far-reaching impacts. Remember when we all had the mask on? I'll never forget it. I got on a plane and I had to have the mask. And I'm like, why are we doing this? Why is everybody bound down this? But I couldn't transact business. I couldn't get anywhere. They wouldn't let me on a plane. I don't have a private jet, so I had to get on the commercial airlines. A single judge in a single case in Florida, it was a federal judge, a female lady, struck it down. And I had the mask on that day. She struck it down. I get back on the plane the next day, and we don't have to wear a mask anymore.
And you can breathe.
And it was over. It was over just like that. So this is just Maricopa County. But I think it's much bigger than that. If you look, and I've been doing research trying to put a map together, 3 election software companies, Hart, ES&S, and Dominion, control over 90% of all elections in this country. Wow. This particular one that they've been fighting and haggling about and reference in this Supreme Court filing is Dominion, which is not just Arizona. That could reach over half of the states in America, Lance.
Wow. Well, and I guess that was my question, John, is how widespread is this? So if we're actually going to get to crack this Dominion nut and say, no, there really was something wrong here, I mean, where is that affecting around the country?
Yeah, so I'm glad you asked. I actually built a map here.
I was looking at this beautiful map.
I created a map here. I don't know if we have something that we can zoom in on or we can pull it up.
There it is. It's up on the screen.
Yeah, but this map, if you look at it, it's not. Here's what's telling to me. It's 26 states, okay, so it's over half the country. But some of the states, like Georgia, has been the preeminent battle in the tightest elections in the last several cycles. Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania. I mean, almost every single tight case is in one of these, okay? And so the impact of what they seem to be referencing here is massive. Now, we don't know a lot of information. They don't give declarations and factual statements and expert statements. I expect that could be forthcoming soon. But that has huge ramifications across the country, not just for the president, but for the Senate, for governors, and all the way down.
Yeah, and so you're saying that basically what Kerry and Mark are submitting here may have happened around the country, and it was just as simple as like a Windows login that all you had to get through is like a basic username and password, and then you could have access to everything?
Yeah, so a Windows password, an expert can crack that in 2 to 3 minutes, okay, to get past your username and log in, your password. Or it could be a Dominion employee or someone who buys it from a Dominion employee or overlooks your shoulder and sees, oh, you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4, or password 1, 2, 3, or something, elections 22 or, whatever.
Change me.
Change me. So you could do whatever. What is intriguing to me about this obviously, this case deals with Maricopa. It deals with Arizona. What intrigues me is it deals with a software that covers more than half the country.
Wow.
And so, or at least several of the states. Some of them are full states. Some of them, certain counties have it and some don't.
All right, so I'm a little confused on one thing. When Mike Lindell says, we got to get rid of the machines, and you're talking about the software. Is that the same thing?
Same thing, yeah, same thing. The machines run on software. So the machine, you can say, is just a box, right? This is my cup here, but inside my cup is the water. The software is inside the machine that runs it, right? And so, and you know, Mike and us other people are arguing we need to go back to paper ballots, paper ballots. Everybody's got a different opinion of what to do and how to do it. And there's, you know, not everybody's on board with that.
But use your analogy about American Express and about transactions on the stock exchange. There isn't everyday chaos and arguments, are there? There is such a thing as digital transparency.
I remember when you and I talked after the election, right after the election, I came in here and we did a whole story on some of the stuff that was going on here and looking at it. We specifically talked about that. You have blockchain technology now. We transact billions and billions of dollars every single day, okay, across the world, securely. But it's transparent, it's auditable, and it's knowable, and it's secure. That's the key, Lance. It is secure. So it's literally not something that anyone can hack in if you can just get past the bank teller's, you know, username and password. That is a low-level security entrance. And what they seem to be saying here, you know, in this Supreme Court filing is that's all it took to get into some of the master passwords that went on here.
Wow. And those mastered passwords like get you into the actual data?
Yes,
or?
they basically allude to, it's like Enigma. It's basically cracking the whole code. So we don't know everything. It doesn't set that forth in this filing. But I think it must tell you that something's coming soon. So we're probably going to have to come back and do another show is what I'm thinking.
So are you saying that they're just presenting this today?
Today it got filed.
And so they have the chance of maybe not hearing it? Like this is
this is a writ to the Supreme Court, which is basically an appeal to say, you've dismissed us for all these other reasons. All these lower courts dismissed us. We're asking you to rehear it because of this new evidence.
Interesting.
Is this what Mike Lindell's doing on the steps of the Supreme Court
yes.
this week?
It is. It is. And I don't know if he actually is going there in person. He was going to. I think he changed his mind.
I guarantee you won't miss an opportunity for that. Mike's great for marketing, if nothing else. So he's going to go, basically he's presenting because explain again. I know you guys have all gotten an education. I feel like we're all becoming like lawyers like this thing. The standing, they don't have standing. How can Kari Lake not have standing?
Yeah. So basically what each of the courts have said is you haven't demonstrated something that shows that there's a problem. This is the problem, honestly, with all election integrities on both sides. Any fight to do it is very, very difficult. Why? Let me tell you why. Let's go back to your earlier question. Pretend this is the machine and inside is the software. So this is my cup and inside is the water. The reason it's difficult is the fact that each one of you go to vote is public record, okay? When you go and vote, it is public record. But what's not public is what's inside the cup. What is Lance drinking over there in his cup? Is it wine or has he turned it into water, back to water, right? Yeah. And so you don't know how I vote. So that's the problem, is that's supposed to be secure. So my passion is I don't want this to demoralize people, especially if this continues to unfold with more
our people quit. That's unfortunate. The left never quits. They're relentless like zombies.
Yeah.
But we quit.
So when the left argues voter suppression, you're suppressing votes, what does it operate to do? It turns out the vote. It gets more people to vote. When we say there's voter fraud, we talked about this, 20 million people on the center right did not come back from 2020 to 2022.
Okay, you're depressing me. What can we do to solve this?
Okay, electionintegrity.vote.
Electionintegrity.vote. And what does that do real quick?
So what we're doing is we've built a tool in each one of these counties that you can get your county commissioner or your election representatives. It's a little different in several of the states. Whoever the person is in your city or your county that oversees election software, election security, that oversees how you vote. And so we want to connect every one of the listeners out there. I'm pleading with you, do not give up. It's like Luke 18 to me. Jesus gave that parable and he said to teach us to pray and be persistent. And what did the widow do, Lance? She prayed, but she spoke. Who did she speak to? To an unjust judge. Yeah. If Jesus is telling us do not give up even when there's an unjust judge, How much more should we not? Oh, it's unjust. Well, they cheated and got away with it. Let's stay home. That's the opposite of what we need to do.
Yeah.
We need to bring 10 people if we think there's an unjust judge, and wear them down until an unjust judge doesn't fear God and doesn't respect man, but he gives in to even a widow who in that culture, at the time Jesus told that story, was the least powerful person.
Let me just jump in right here because this is some great information. We want to make sure that you guys get it. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, type the word secure in the comments and we're going to send you the link directly into your inbox because this is such great material, John.
Thank you.
John Graves, Mercedes Sparks, thank you very much for this breaking news special report. I wanted to take a minute to talk about one of my great heroes of the faith, which is Mike Lindell. What's really cool about Mike is it's not just the pillow. It's the fact that the guy makes really cool products. For instance, I start my day off with my coffee. I had a cup of coffee the other day here in the office, and I said, no, I want that. It wasn't like Starbucks. It tastes better. And it was Mike's coffee. I said, what is it? They go, Mike Lindell's coffee. I said, my gosh, get a bunch of my coffees. Now, the best way to start the day is you put on these slippers, right? And have your My Coffee. If you've not worked with these slippers yet, I'm not kidding you. There's a special kind of design that Mike has put into these with 4 layers of cushion with a solid sole and a fur interior. I call it my sip and slip strategy. I start my day off by slipping on my slippers, then having a sip of Mike's coffee. But you know what else I'm curious about now? Because I've got to check out the 2.0 pillow. The 2.0 pillow actually is designed so that it distributes the heat of your own head, your face. You know, you're lying there, and it makes it so the pillow's always cool. Now, I like that because I wake up in the middle of the night and have to flip over my pillow because it gets hot. Mike's solved that problem. I want you to go to mypillow.com, promo code Lance, because you can get a discount that I've set up for the pillows, for the coffee, and for the slippers. And do it today. You'll be happy.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world.